Hello aspirants, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. GS Foundation in Lukmaan IAS is going to start at 8th of December with International Relations batch. In this video, we are going to understand how geography as a subject is taught in Lukmaan IAS and how you should approach geography as a subject in your own preparation. And for that purpose, we will try to understand the nature of questions that UPSC asked in prelims and mains examination from this subject. Along with that, the number of marks that are given, as well as the nature of, we can say that, the areas wherein the UPSC focuses, and most of the students do certain kinds of mistakes in that approach, or we can say attempting those questions. Let's go into details and try to see this video till the end so that your preparation for geography is streamlined in a particular, or let's say, direction of UPSC examination. Okay, so first of all, let's try to see the subject orientation. Yes, so nature of subject, geography is basically the kind of subject which is having the interdisciplinary aspect. Along with that, it is more of a conceptual subject. The nature of questions that are asked, they are applied in nature as well as descriptive in nature. Let's try to see one by one. Why I am saying interdisciplinary? Because geography is having the overlapping aspect in GS2 paper IR section also, as well as GS3 paper environment and disaster management. Right, and GS1 paper geography itself. So that's why we are saying that it is having the interdisciplinary aspect. In the IR section, geopolitics, so geo is geography basically. Then environment section is basically the extension of geography as a major discipline, also the disaster management part. So it is having overlapping. For example, natural hazards part or geophysical phenomenon that we learn in GS1 geography part, in disaster management we learn them as disasters. Right. So we should prepare that in overlapping manner. Our notes should be common to both parts, we can say, for disaster management and geography for that part of your syllabus. Now, why I am saying conceptual clarity is very important. Yes, there are so many geographical phenomenon, be it part of geomorphology or climatology or oceanography. Unless and until there is clarity in the concepts of this, let's say, part, physical geography part of your examination syllabus, we are not going to fetch more marks in prelims as well as mains examination. क्योंकि applied part जो होता है वो concepts के clarity के basis पे होता है, right? So if your concepts are not clear, you will not be able to properly address the questions. Like for example, statement 1, statement 2 type of question wherein assertion and reason is asked, and we are asked to understand the relationship between these two statements, whether statement 2 is correctly explaining the statement 1, cause and effect kind of relationship. So unless and until we have conceptual clarity, we will not be able to answer them. Then applied questions, just now I had given example. If we are having good conceptual clarity, that concept is applied while asking that question. Okay, so for example, let me give you, we are going to discuss so many examples also from the last year question paper as well as previous year question. There we will try to understand. But applied means direct concept is not asked, rather the application of that concept in different fields is asked. Okay, for example, there was one question about the volcanic eruption and its impact on the nearby regional environment. This was question in mains examination. So that is basically applied. We have to understand the impact of volcanic eruption on the environment, right? So descriptive, right? In GS1 paper, like mains examination, we are asked questions which are descriptive in nature. Largely we can say the topics from economic geography, human geography, wherein the resources and their, let's say, distribution is asked, or the location of industries, or we can say different activities that is asked, or describing a particular geophysical phenomenon they will ask. So it is more of a descriptive nature which requires drawing lot of diagrams, maps and explaining the concepts. Now the core philosophy of subject, the conceptual understanding plus application or relevance of those concepts that test the relationships, cause effects and spatial patterns. It is basically talking about distribution of resources, and we can say different kinds of let's say landforms, implications for the development, environment and society. So all these aspects are core philosophy of this subject. Essence needed for UPSC exam when you study the subject. Yes, for prelims examination, build conceptual clarity, atlas reading and solve previous year question. Why we are saying that, let's say last 25 to 30 years of PYQs are important, because largely it is a static subject. So they may repeat the PYQs or those themes, right? So they will ask almost alternate year the question related to primary waves, secondary waves or surface waves related to earthquake waves, right? So if you solve the PYQs properly, we will be able to understand कि पर्टिकुलर एरिया से वो किस तरीके से क्वेश्चन फ्रेम करते हैं, राइट. Then in mains examination, analytical approach is important, like the questions will have command like discuss, analyze, critically examine, focus on diagrams and maps, because we need to draw the diagrams in physical geography question, we need to draw maps in the economic geography questions. Overlapping with the disaster management part, just now we talked about this, the geophysical phenomenon and different disasters. Environment and ecology, environmental hazards, again the different kinds of environmental hazards are there. And economy in GS3, especially agroecology part or agriculture part that is there in GS3, it is having overlapping because primary activities and its location, green revolution type question is there, or food grain production. So yes, it is also having overlapping in GS3 paper economy. Okay, so in this manner we should understand the nature of subject that we are discussing. Then the common mistakes that we do in PT and mains examination, let's try to understand that. We are giving some examples from 2025 prelims question paper, UPSC CSE examination. Okay, so look at this question. It is again we can say concept based question based on NCERT knowledge. So if you are getting this wrong, that means basic NCERT knowledge is missing. Most of the students, they directly refer to class notes or depend on some kind of coaching videos. Directly I am saying, first you need to read NCERT, try to understand the concepts, you need to ask questions in the classroom. And let me tell you, in Lukmaan IAS, I prefer explaining all those concepts whenever we are teaching that particular concept or that topic. Because as you are yourself reading NCERT, the doubts are bound to occur and you should ask that in the classroom also. ठीक है, तभी ये questions easily solve हो जाएंगे. Without the atmosphere, temperature would have been below freezing point. Somewhere it's mentioned as a line in NCERT. That is true. Why? Because the greenhouse gases in our atmosphere are keeping our atmosphere warm. Without them, our atmosphere or the temperatures on Earth's surface would have been -16, or we can say sub-zero temperatures. The heat absorbed and trapped by the atmosphere maintain our planet's temperature. This is correct. Atmosphere gases like carbon dioxide particularly good and absorbing, trapping these radiations. That is also to terrestrial radiations we are talking. So yes, when we learn in the climatology part, yes, such kind of statements are there in NCERT. I am again and again emphasizing NCERT knowledge is important. Now the concept clarity, look at this. Statement 1 is giving some kind of assertion, statement 2 is giving some kind of reasons. So in January in the northern hemisphere, isotherm bend equatorward crossing the land masses. Again it is given in NCERT. Right, in January the air over the oceans is warmer than the land masses in the northern hemisphere. That is true, and this is because of ocean currents, warm ocean currents like North Atlantic drift. तो ऐसा दिया हुआ है NCERT में, repeated question है. So again I am telling you importance of PYQ. In 2024 itself similar MCQ was asked, but they asked about the North Atlantic drift as a cold current. They mentioned statement 1, statement 2, similar framing. You can see the PYQs, and that's why I was telling कि क्यों ये PYQs करना जरूरी है, क्योंकि ये टॉपिक जो है वो हर साल रिपीट होता है ऑलमोस्ट. ठीक है, ओशनोग्राफी और क्लाइमेटोलॉजी से. That's why PYQs are important and conceptual clarity. Then atlas reading. Andes mountains pass through how many of the above countries? Now major mountain ranges is very important for all the continents. Yes, Andes, Rockies, Alps, Himalayas, pardon me. So Ural mountains, Aravallis in India, Appalachian in US. So all these mountains you should be preparing. So कौन से मतलब highest peak क्या है? माउंटेन रेंज का, कौन से कंट्रीज से पास करता है, एरिया उनका लाए होता है, ठीक है। तो ये सारा चीज बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है एटलस रीडिंग से। And what students are, let's say, actually having the mistake is they are not giving enough time for atlas reading. Every year 3 to 4 questions are from the static atlas reading, world as well as India, ठीक है। तो अगर आपको ये पता है तो आप क्यों उसको टाइम नहीं दे रहे हो? तो from January onwards you should be giving half an hour for atlas reading on daily basis, तभी आपका एटलस रीडिंग बहुत अच्छा होगा। एंड देयर इज वन वीडियो ऑन लुकमान IAS यूट्यूब चैनल, 3 years बैक वी हैव गिवन दैट वीडियो एंड दैट टॉक्स अबाउट लास्ट 20 to 30 years ऑफ एनालिसिस ऑफ मैपिंग पॉइंट्स, कि मैपिंग सेक्शन से क्या क्या चीज़ें पूछी जाती है। द टाइटल ऑफ वीडियो इज लाइक व्हाट थिंग्स आर टू बी प्रिपेयर्ड फ्रॉम ज्योग्राफी मैपिंग, ठीक है। ज्योग्राफी मैपिंग में क्या क्या पढ़ना चाहिए। लुकमान IAS लक्ष्मीकांत सर आप अगर टाइप करते हैं 30 to 40 minutes का वीडियो, but all mapping points for last 30 years I have enumerated them. Just list them down and keep that in front of you whenever you are doing the atlas reading. Then which of the following are the evidences of phenomenon of continental drift? Very simple straightforward question. Okay, but yes, what mistakes that students may be doing in this? Students may think that continental drift theory and plate tectonics, all these are parts of mains examination. This has been already asked in the mains examination 2013, this question, evidences of continental drift theory of Wegener. तो वो अब prelims में पूछा गया है. So that means it is both important for prelims as well as mains examination, though you should not segregate that in geography. Yes, I would say that for the resources, industries, largely they will focus more on the mains examination, and the physical geography part they will give more focus in the prelims examination. That is for sure, and we should understand that from the PYQ analysis. So we have understood the common mistakes that UPSC students do in mains examination. What mistakes we are doing here? Not explaining the concept exactly and concisely. Because in 150 words you don't have scope to explain in a peripheral let's say language or words beating around the bush, ठीक है। तो आपको बहुत ही specific content देने की ज़रूरत है and explaining that concept in a specific words, concise words and with the help of diagrams and maps. Second mistake is that only not drawing diagrams and map. Diagrams and maps are basically a kind of enrichment in the answer. It makes answer geography answer, ठीक है। Without diagrams and map it looks like any other subject answer. So that's why it is very important for you to draw diagram and map in your answers. सब answers जो भी 8 questions पूछते हैं उसमें सारा आपको लिखना है, ठीक है, diagrams and maps. So it is very important. Now let me give you some examples from we can say that some PYQs, ठीक है। तो ये लास्ट ईयर 2025 और दिस ईयर 2025 मेंस के क्वेश्चंस है, उसमें से मैं कुछ एग्जांपल्स देता हूँ आपको कि कैसे करना है, ठीक है। What are non-farm primary activities? How are these activities related to physiographic features of India? So I would draw the map in the second part showing different physiographic features of India and associated non-farm primary activities. Like I will show the coastal areas will have the fisheries, that is for sure. In the Himalayan region, I would say that nomadic herding or we can say wool industry related, we can say that. Then you can talk about is let's say cattle rearing in certain areas like Gujarat where grasslands are there. तो हम बोलेंगे कि dairy industry is because of that only, right? So ये क्या है, मैं मैप ड्रॉ करके वहाँ पर दिखाऊंगा. That is now more self-explanatory, right? Then what are tsunamis, how and where they are formed, and what are their consequences? Explain with examples. Now what are tsunamis, how and where they are formed? It is basically concept. Explaining the concept with the help of diagrams is very important. यहाँ पर भी आपको waves कहाँ generate होता है, epicenter कैसे ocean के नीचे होता है, and how the waves amplitude goes on increasing when it is reaching towards the coast. You should be able to draw that diagram. Okay. Then mention some examples. So I was talking about here not giving relevant examples and data. So here it is explicitly mentioned explain with example. So आपको सुनामी जैसे 2004 का सुनामी इंडिया का देना है, Indonesia का. Then you can give example of 2011 Japan tsunami, and most recent example you can give of that let's say रशिया में जो अर्थक्वेक हुआ था कामचटका पेनिनसुला में रिसेंटली, तो सुनामी वार्निंग्स वेर गिवन. इस तरीके से आपको एग्जांपल्स देने आना चाहिए, राइट. देन डिस्कस हाउ द चेंजेस इन शेप एंड साइज ऑफ कॉन्टिनेंट्स एंड ओशन बेसिन्स ऑफ द प्लैनेट टेक प्लेस ड्यू टू टेक्टोनिक मूवमेंट. नाउ इट इज कॉन्सेप्ट बेस्ड क्वेश्चन, बट इट इज मोर ऑफ अप्लाइड नेचर ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट. प्लेट टेक्टोनिक्स ही पूछा है, बट अप्लाइड नेचर से पूछा है, एक्सप्लिसिट वे में नहीं पूछा है. So lack of answer writing practice to such kind of questions, applied questions, may affect our brainstorming in the actual examination. फिर हम जनरल चीजें अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड वे में, अनस्ट्रक्चर्ड वे में लिखना शुरू कर देते हैं, तो उसमें आपको 3, 3.5 के ऊपर मार्क्स नहीं मिलेंगे, बिकॉज यू आर मेकिंग इट डिफिकल्ट फॉर द एग्जामिनर टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट यू हैव रिटन. ठीक है, तो आपको इजी करके देने आना चाहिए, सब चीज प्लान चाहिए, एंड फॉर दैट पर्पस यू नीड टू हैव आंसर राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस, एंड दैट्स व्हाट वी डू इन आवर फाउंडेशन बैच इटसेल्फ, कि आपका आंसर राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस साइमल्टेनियसली होना चाहिए, राइट. सो आफ्टर एवरी 21 days वी आर हैविंग द टेस्ट फॉर प्रीलिम्स एज वेल एज मेंस एग्जामिनेशन, एंड दैट विल हेल्प यू फॉर आंसर राइटिंग फ्रॉम द स्टार्ट इटसेल्फ. ठीक है, तो आपका वो डर निकल जाएगा आंसर राइटिंग का प्रॉब्लम जो है आपका, right. Now let's talk about some analysis related to PYQs. So this is the syllabus, and we can see in prelims India and world geography, physical, social and economic geography of India and world. So it is very simple but short syllabus that is mentioned. You should do the PYQ analysis, and thereafter you will understand ki what things they are asking from these 3 domains: physical, social and economic geography part. Thereafter we can divide these into 4 let's say syllabus topics: salient features of world physical geography including Indian physical geography. Second, we can talk about is key natural resources of the world, Asia and Indian continent. Third, factors responsible for location of different, let's say, industries. Fourth, important geophysical phenomenon, and fifth we can talk about this, let's say, changes in the geographical features. Basically it is related to climate change and global warming and its impact. So these 5 are the subtopics, more descriptive nature and explicit nature of syllabus given. So through PYQ analysis and syllabus we can do the appropriate preparation for your mains examination. How much marks are allocated? Yes, for mains examination more or less it is, we can say, on an average 100 marks are given out of 250 in GS1 paper. So significant weightage, 4 10 markers, 4 15 markers, and this has been continuous trend. So आपको तैयार रहना है इस चीज के लिए. Now within that also we have given, let's say, the specific description of nature of questions from that particular part of your syllabus. जैसे कि हम देखते हैं कि geomorphology से concept based और application आता है, climatology से concept based and application, again oceanography concept based application. Some examples we have given here from the PYQs. Now I will attach this PDF in the description of this video. You go through this and try to understand, analyze the PYQs and the nature of questions. ठीक है. Then distribution related, resource potential of the region, distribution of mineral resources, renewable energy is the focus area, water resources is the prominent area, फैक्टर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर इंडस्ट्रीज, प्राइमरी सेक्टर कैसे क्वेश्चन आते हैं देखिए आप यहाँ पर, जैसे कि फूड सिक्योरिटी और ग्रीन रिवोल्यूशन से क्वेश्चंस आए. सेकेंडरी सेक्टर दे हैव फोकस लार्जली ऑन, वी कैन से, आयरन एंड स्टील इंडस्ट्री, रिफाइनरीज. टर्शरी सेक्टर दे आर फोकसिंग मोर ऑन IT इंडस्ट्री एंड ट्रांसपोर्ट रिलेटेड, लेट्स से, टॉपिक्स. देन geophysical phenomenon, important hazards like cloud burst, landslides, they are the prominent areas, right? Then climate change, every year UPSC is asking question on climate change and its impact. You can see here consequences of climate change on food security. Then we can say that assess the impact of global warming on coral reef system. What is sea surface temperature and how does it affect formation of tropical cyclones? So this is how the nature of question, and it has overlapping aspect with your environment and disaster management. Is this clear? Now, yes, important ingredients of geography answer. Again, I am repeating conceptual clarity. Just now we discussed earlier that which text we do. Diagrams for physical geography, maps for economic geography, example data, facts, reports. जो भी इंटरनेशनल रिपोर्ट्स होता है UNEP या उससे रिलेटेड आप क्लाइमेट चेंज में जरूर डालिए. Multiple dimensions we should open, social, economic, and we can say that geographical angles are of course you have to let's say open in the answer integration of current developments. If you give the correct current context in the introduction by mentioning some, let's say, incidents, a coral reef bleach. So mass coral bleaching that happened last year 2023-24, तो आप वो एग्जांपल दे सकते हैं. कोई रिसेंट में जो अर्थक्वेक हुआ है तो अर्थक्वेक के ऊपर क्वेश्चन में आप वो रिसेंट एग्जांपल आप कॉन्टेक्स्ट में दीजिए इंट्रोडक्शन में. गवर्नमेंट स्कीम्स एंड प्रोग्राम्स स्पेशली फॉर इंडस्ट्रीज and resource conservation, climate change, so you can mention those, let's say, government schemes and programs also here. Then we can talk about is, yes, just now we talked about how we should prepare geography as a subject, build conceptual clarity with the help of, we can say, standard books, NCERTs, GC Leong. So I was telling about the resources here, 6 to 12 standard NCERT plus GC Leong, and for Atlas, Oxford Student Atlas, I would say is more preferable. Then we can say faculty and mentor, take the help of faculty and mentor. So we have the 40 lectures geography module in Lukmaan IAS for this particular subject, total number of classes, 40 classes, 100 hours of learning, foundation batch tests, 3 tests will be there including prelims and mains, and there will be specific crash course, MIGP and we can say PGP, and they will be, let's say, having the particular sessions for enrichment of your mains and prelims examination preparation. Make short notes for each subtopics based on your syllabus and PYQ analysis, and Lukmaan IAS notes will be also very helpful for that purpose. Along with that, notes for the resources and industries should be based on maps that we teach in the foundation batch. या आपको notes जो है वो सारे map book में बनाने चाहिए resources and industries के. So ensure all PYQs and answers, let's say, through your notes. This should be focused for UPC area why they are repeating, because integrate current affairs, current development into your notes, like Lukmaan IAS monthly magazine for current affairs, for mapping places in news, for prelims, for mains, some data examples are also very helpful. So you can take from that. Practice drawing diagrams and map at home, and answer writing practice. This should be let's say focus area. MIGP in let's say mains examination enrichment batch, where we mains intensive answer writing practice is done, and even for pre-GP prelims tests are very, let's say, enriching for those who are, let's say, having some kind of fear in geography part. All right, then how we proceed for the foundation batch. This is the foundation batch schedule, and you can go through this schedule. It is available at Lukmaan IAS website also. Go through the detailed brochure, I would say, because that is also providing all kind of information for the starters. And yes, for 11 months or 12 months, we are going to prepare you for giving attempt for 2027 prelims. ठीक है, तो आप यहाँ पर आइए और ऑफलाइन मेंटरिंग लीजिए and try to understand how we are teaching, how you will proceed in next 12 months. Okay, so if you have any query, you can ask in the comment box, and you can reach out to the reception and inquiry office of Lukmaan IAS. Thank you so much.